Your time to get health insurance is running out, but Ambetter from Peach State Health Plan has you covered.
The last day to sign up for a health insurance plan is January 31st, so you need to sign up for Ambetter from Peach State Health Plan today.
Ambetter from Peach State Health Plan offers better coverage at a better price, and it can all be yours if you sign up now.
Call 1-844-292-4328 today. That's 1-844-292-4328.
This is a solicitation for insurance.
Blog Talk Radio.
Good evening. This is Furqan Shabazz. You're tuning into the 16th issue of our first volume for Docmagazine.net. Tonight's guest is my friend, teacher, legendary Grandmaster Haisan Kaleak, and this topic tonight, we were going to go into the offensive side of Sanuces Jiu-Jitsu. The title of this segment is called "Can He Fight?" Before I bring in my guest, I'm just going to play a little bit from Dr. Moses Powell, and then I'm going to jump right into my interview. Yeah, so Doc was basically saying he's seen some weird things, and he said he's seen a guy push a machete into his throat. But the question is, can he fight? And this podcast tonight is going to go in depth into that. I'm just gonna get this booted up. And while I'm getting this blog talk to load in so I can bring in the guests, I want my audience to think about the science of fighting and how do you see fighting? I just want because that's the topic tonight. And without any further ado, let me bring in Grandmaster Soke Haisan Kaleak. Soke,
Us, how are you, brother? Eye to eye.
Heart to heart. I'm good. And yourself?
I'm great, outstanding. Just trying to make sure that I was in place in time, man, and I thank you for inviting me to this podcast.
Yes, sir. So tonight's segment is eye to eye, and I mean, it's can he fight? And before I ask my question, I want my audience to go to Docmagazine.net, and if you look on the Purple Tape series, he was Purple Tape 1, and if you also look at Purple Tape 1. Purple Tape 1 is actually probably in the top 3 greatest interviews of all time from Doc Radio, Doc Magazine. And so listening to that would definitely get you caught up for what we're going to talk about tonight. So I kind of just want you to open up first with when Doc says can he fight, the fighting aspect, the fighting style, the offensive philosophy from Sanuces. Can you explain that to our audience?
Well, I'm glad you put it that way because there is fighting has two sides of it. It has offense, defense. I believe everyone knows the structure of the game football. You can't win with just an offense. You can't win with just the defense. It's a combination of them both and a strategic way of putting them together. But a lot of times when people are thinking about fighting, you more or less think about it in an offensive way. Just as natural fighters think. But when we think about it in a self-defense content, or we think of being aggression as in when someone else does something to me, I'm going to do what I do. So you put that into an equation, it can get kind of technical because it simply means that you already program yourself to allow someone to do something first. Now, you may or may not be skilled enough to counter that and then launch your offense. And I believe the Doc, at least what he had conveyed to me, is that he used to use the term often. He used to say, get off first. And getting off first can easily be interpreted when it comes to fighting as in being offensive first, physically offensive first. But that's not exactly the way that I got it from him. I got it in such a way that I stopped seeing it as being a physical offense. I seen it as being an offense on a whole nother level. And that can be, it could be complicated if you don't understand Sanuces, because there is attacks in our defense all the time. We don't separate those two.
Yes, sir. And let me ask you, Soke, at what moment at what point in your development did you come to that conclusion that get off first was beyond just physical? Like, was there a particular technique, or there was something, a demo?
Well, I would always see Doc seem to know where the Uki was going. Whether he told him to punch from the rear, swing from the right, or step, whatever, Doc very rarely told the Uki, not unless he was really trying to explain to us the details and something, or which side we should punch from, or how we should attack him. But he always would seem to kind of know where we were at, and there would always be this uh-oh moment in the technique, like, where did I go wrong? And as much as you would watch it from the side, he was always able to do that. And so, first of all, you would think, well, how is he able to move his feet that way? How is he able to get there before me? And then he started explaining it to me scientifically, and I believe that's when I understood what he was talking about.
And what was it he said scientifically?
Well, the science of that is kind of real easy. If you go to mathematics, you will see, you would see what he's saying as he applied it to martial art. That in order to get 2, you have to let 1 finish. In order to get 3, you have to let 2 finish. In order to get 4, you have to let 1, 2, and 3 finish. You see, you don't start from 4. So the equation that he showed us is that you never allow your opponent to finish his 1. And whatever that 1 is, you should be attached to that 1. And so the get off first principle is real simple, and when you look at it mathematically, it's that I'm always doing something before I'm doing something physically. And what I mean by something is that it can be just the way that you are diffusing this thing because you happen to be talking to this individual. You're getting off first because, if I'm having a conversation with you, you're paying attention to me, no matter how angry you are, or whether you think you hear me or not. When I'm speaking, you're going to pay attention to something I'm doing. And so now I got you on my 1. I'm just not going to allow you to escape from that 1. So, you're doing something on a whole nother level. So you getting off first could be just that. It could be in a scientific way. You don't necessarily need to move your hands or your feet first before he moves his hands or feet first. You need to be able to get off with your intent first.
So it's okay. I'm going to just read you some concepts, and then just conceptually,
mm-hmm.
I want you to answer. I want you to give me an answer from an offensive standpoint. So the first concept is move with the mover.
Mm-hmm.
Now I know when we think move with a mover, a lot of times, at least for me, I always think of someone throws an attack. Exactly what it says. Move with the mover, his energy, do whatever we're going to do in terms of Sanuces. But how does move with the mover work from an offensive standpoint?
From an offensive, meaning that you are you're going to do the offensive end of it, or
yeah, exactly. I'm going to initiate.
Move with the mover is just that every move doesn't have to be. A lot of martial arts styles have moves that are intended to be a contact move, meaning that I'm touching you. My jab is intended to touch you. My foot movement is intended to bring you closer. Everything that I'm doing is designed to be interpreted the way you know the move to be done. But I'm not moving for that purpose. I'm not moving to actually, when I jab at you, to create the jab or to create the space or the offensive attack. My attack is set up in the movement. And somewhere in there, the thing that you didn't see is my move. And that's why we say move with the move. Move with the mover, people, I think, interpret as I move. This guy's moving, so I'm moving with him. To me, it's reverse. he's going to have to move with me. And if you're moving with me, then you can't be ahead of me. I'm always going to be able to control your movement. You heard Doc say on one of the podcasts there that he makes a circular motion and takes a man off his balance, and then that's the end of his balance structure. Well, his balance structure is what the move was about. You understand what I'm saying? You'll be watching my circular motion, but my taking you off your balance is what I was doing. But you're watching something that has nothing to do with what's going to really happen. So when we say move with the mover, at least the way that I was interpreting it is that I'm the mover, and he has to move with me. I'm not moving with him. If he's moving with me, then I'm in control. Wouldn't that stand to reason?
Right.
If I'm moving with him, who's in control?
He's in control.
Yeah, because he's the mover. I'm the mover.
He's the mover. Move
with the mover. You see, so to me, I look at it backwards. I'm the mover. Everything moves around me, moves with me. If I allow this person to be the mover, and I'm tracking him down, then I'm constantly chasing. What's happening here? The dog's wagging the tail, or the tail's wagging the dog. You understand what I'm saying?
It's okay. I have another question. When I see you, for instance, like at the Atlanta seminar, you was at both of the Atlanta seminars, and when I saw you, it's like from the beginning to the end, you always have like composure. Like it's never sloppy. It's never, it's always like a perfect slice. You know what I mean? Like it's like if someone is cutting the cake, it's like your slices always come out like sharp. Like why is that? What is the mechanisms of how you're able to just always pull it off like that so smooth?
Well, I like to think, like Doc had taught us that, what we do is a science, and science has rules in it, and these rules, to follow, you're always going to get a perfect, as you said, perfect slice. You don't sharpen the tools, you're going to get a raggedy cut. You don't practice the science of balance in Kazushi, he's going to fall all over the place, because one of the basic rules is we say balance, I must have it and he must not. That's an easy way to remember about balance, because, we a lot of times if we jujitsuans or judokas, we think, okay, it's all about, well, I'm not going to say that those people think that. I think that they know the contrary. But it's not all about the throw. It's about me having balance to be able to create that imbalance. So I like to think that, when I strike and when I move, I kind of like know what the result is going to be, because science tells me that this is a human body. And Doc told me that, I'm going to teach you what the human body can and cannot do, and what it will and won't do. And I've always thought that
did you just say imbalance? Did you just say imbalance?
Yes, sir.
What is that? What is imbalance?
Well, it's lack of balance, a lack of equilibrium. There's a lot of ways to create an imbalance in somebody. That's really the definition of disease, is to have an imbalance. So
right.
You
can you further go into that? Like, can you further go into the balance and the imbalance? Like, because you're a master. I'm just, it's like, you never know. Just the opportunity to ask these questions. Like, like what, like how, because when I look at you on tapes, like it's like you be zoning out. Like, but what do you be doing? What is going through your head? Like when you're doing the balance and like, can you tell my audience what are you thinking? Like, is there like a 1, 2, 3, or are you counting something, or are you feeling for something? Like, how do you know when you're creating that imbalance? Like, what is it that you're looking for? What is it that you're feeling for?
Well, again, you go back to the basics. You go back to your rudimentary basic skills, which in Sanuces is about entries and exits. He taught us that how to get in and how to get out, and what you do in between is pretty much your own, by your own personal design, or whatever, again, that you want to create this with this adversary. So I think if I had to describe what I'm thinking about is, again, reminding myself of the laws of science, of the physical body, that the physical body responds to universal codes no matter who they are. no matter what color, complexion, or density of their skin and bone structure or whatever, there's certain compliances that a human body has to do when it gets hit in certain spots. And if we just get a little bit deeper with that, Dr. Powell had a system called Pia nerve striking. When we start striking those nerve endings, and then you strike them in a sequential way that causes a grin, an imbalance in the human body. Things start to clash. The Chinese were very good for that, and understanding that with their acupuncture and the so-called, the Denmark strike, the death touch. I'm not saying that we do stuff like that, but again, that was creating an imbalance in the human body, and therefore the body would just shut down. It wasn't a whole bunch of banging on the body. It was about going in there, finding those the key central spots. And you'd be surprised how an adversary will open them spots up for you when you you create these angles of attack. We call them just that angles of attack. We don't just go in there. We set a person up.
Right, and basically when you create that imbalance, that's basically the beginning of the end.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. If you think about that in anything, once you weaken the structure of something, that's it. It's a matter of time. You can almost determine what direction it's going to fall about where you created it at. And usually it's a very small thing that brings down big things. I mean, just as a rule of nature, very small things. Termites are very, very, very small. You can hardly see them, but they can bring great buildings, great trees to their needs.
So when you're creating this imbalance, how do you know? How do you know in your mind? Like when you say, okay, when Doc says, if I touch him, I got him. Like when you're breaking that balance, how do you know you got him? What does he have to give up to you to say, yeah, I got this guy?
Well, one of the things is we don't disconnect. So my hands are always on you. Again, that's why I believe the doc said that. When I touch you, I have you, because I'm the term I use personally. My students hear me say this all the time. Is plugged in. Once I'm plugged into you, I'm just like, think about a computer and put a USB a thumb drive in the USB port. You plugged in. I'm in this system now, and I know you know about systems and things of that nature, but I'm in here now. I can read everything I want in here if I want, and I leave when I'm ready. So, you want to get plugged in. So my point is that when I hit you, I'm still holding on to you. I'll feel your body when it gives. I'll feel you when you tense up to try to respond back to what I did. And, again, since my principles are to keep moving, I'm pretty much not going to be where you think I'm at, or at least where you like me at.
And then now, so after the imbalance is created, now when you exit, like, is it that you want to exit to a point where he's away from you, or do you exit? Like, what is your strategies on exit? Like, is your exit such that maybe you're facing the door, or you're facing away where you can get away, or you?
Well, in general, my exits is when I'm fighting one individual. In general, my exits are to his outer extremities. What I mean by that is, if I can draw this picture for you, I'm in front of you. You and I are facing each other. Shoulder to shoulder, face to face, shoulder to shoulder, toe to toe. I need to be, if you can distinctly think of me moving over to your right, so my right foot is beyond your right foot. That's an exit. I can pass directly past you, all right? Or vice versa, if you go all the way over to the left. And facing you, if my left foot is past your left foot, then I am directly past you. It makes it hard for you to hit me with the other side of your body, and also it keeps you from falling on me or me being in the middle of this combat thing. A lot of times when people fight, they don't understand. You can drop a guy and he'll fall on you, break your own leg because he fell on you. It's a whole lot of things can happen. If he's in front of you and he has a knife and you still got him in front of you, that knife can wail around and do other things. So my exit is always to try to get to his outer extremities is the point that I'm making. That's basically what I'm doing. Now, we can create circles around you. We can tencon and move around you, at the back of you, and things of that nature. But, again, it's about how you set up. I really don't want to turn this into a kata where it's actually like, well, you do this, you do this, you do this. You really are sensorily moving around, much like Aikido. If you look at the term Ramdori in Aikido, that's when they do that drill, it's encrypted. it's different every single time. Every single time. Every time that they do it, those opponents are going to come at them different, and they have to move differently to get out of the way of that. So, you want to train yourself to be responsive to encrypted actions instead of formulated ones all the time.
Now, from talking to you, okay, so the imbalance is definitely offensive. Is definitely an offensive strategy, but it also sounds like there's an indirect offense, if there's such a term, and that indirect offense is, I would call that control, because it sounds as though, like that's kind of like what you're talking about too. Now, controlling the situation. What's the science of controlling the fight from a Sanuces standpoint?
Well, like I said, it depends on if you're fighting more than one opponent. But it's hypothetically saying you're controlling one person. You want to get them to respond to those, those involuntary actions that you can control. Sometimes it's as simple as putting a finger in his eye. If I got my finger in your eye, you're not.
So you control through pain.
Yeah, through pain.
Okay. Now, and what if it's more than one person?
Well, if it's more than one person, you can't spend a lot of time on this, so therefore you got to be a lot more direct. A lot more direct.
so you got to bring a lot more pain.
Yeah, a lot more pain. Not hurt anymore, but serious pain.
Yeah, and I'm only going to apply that the pain that you feel when it's more than one guy, you will wish it was just you and him one-on-one.
Thank you. That's the whole thing behind fighting in the way of survival. You ain't got time to play around.
Okay.
This is to go back to what Doc had always said. Take this and put it with what you already have. I think any art can do this, but I think a lot of arts don't really contemplate what it is they actually do. They really don't know what kind of pain or that they have caused or anything. They just do it, and the guy falls down. They're happy about it. We do things with a lot more intent. I remember in my early days with Dr. Powell and doing karate moves with him, and it was a side kick that I was doing, and he showed me how to do a side kick where if you were to look at it, you thought that it was just me doing a side kick into a person's ribs. But the way he was showing me to do it was I was actually kicking the guy's ribs up in his ribs as opposed to coming straight at him on the ring. So he said when you kick up like that, the recoil from the kick comes back and stabilizes you so you don't fall forward. So you can retract that leg. And by retracting it now, you could be someplace else after you caused that pain. I never forgot that because up until that point, I thought a side kick was just that. It was just kicking in the side. Like a direct angle, like a flat kick going straight out at the person. But his kick was actually swinging up into the ribs, almost like an uppercut kind of thing, and causing a lot more severe pain. And also causing the ability to break a rib a lot easier. You can break a rib easier that way than you can pushing it against it.
Now, you're also a karate master as well, right?
Well, yeah, I've trained in karate. I've trained in Kyokushinkai. I've trained in Shotokan karate.
Now, let me ask you, when it comes to karate, what is your favorite kata? What is your best karate kata?
Well, I like katas that are long. One of my favorite kata was Konkodai. I liked it because it made me use my left side and my right side. And it was long. It made me jump. It made me look at things from different angles. It made me use my hand and my feet in combination. These are some of the things that I appreciate about it. Some katas, you could be out there 10 minutes and you still only kick them with one leg or doing one type of punch. So, yeah, the katas I appreciated was the ones that made me do multiple things.
And that kata was called, what was it called again?
It was Konkodai, Rising Sun.
And that was from what system?
Shotokan.
Shotokan, okay. Mm-hmm. All right. My next concept, all right, so let's say, so touch and go.
Mm-hmm.
Touch and go. So move with the mover, you're breaking the balance. You got this guy, you like for instance in Atlanta, you did a technique where your entry, you came from the hip, that dropped him, that made him bend over, then you came back, popped the the neck, the chin up. You took his throat out. That was something I saw you do in Atlanta. Now, so let's say you're moving with the mover. You broke his imbalance. Okay, you're feeling the control going on. But okay, so now touch and go comes in, right? So how do you elaborate on that? Like how do you like okay, let's go back to that. When you caught that point on the hip, you popped the chin, you took the throat out. When do you say to yourself, okay, I'm good, or what is your measure in as it relates to touch and go? Like when do you stop going?
Well, that's a good question. When do you stop going? To me, I do a balance of 3 different areas of the body. I have a principle that no human being can cover 3 areas at one time. You only have 2 hands. So wherever, if I hit you here, you can cover there and to keep me from hitting you there again, and maybe even cover to keep you from hitting you in a second place. But there's always a place on your body, since you are broken up in 3 different sections, it's going to be open. So no matter what you do, you're going to leave an open space for me. So as I start to break these areas down, to me, that's enough. So what you described is that when I put something in each one of those elements, I hit you high, I hit you low, and I hit you in the middle, not necessarily in that order. So what I know that's enough to get out of there is that you neutralize at some point there. Now, if I decide to go back in and do something else, that's on me.
Wow. Okay. The next concept, the principle of timing. Sanuces is a lot of timing, and I think the higher level masters like yourself are the masters of the timing game. Talk to us about timing.
Well, I always use this as an example. I use the term flex, reflex. In order to get good reflexes, you have to train your flex, and a lot of people don't appreciate that in that content. You have to train. You have to. Timing is something that even any boxer will tell you. You lose it if you don't train it. You need people swinging at you. You need to be touched. You need to be able to not anticipate, but know how much of a touch to accept. You need to know what happens when you do get touched. How do you respond from that, and you move. And so a lot of times, again, that's very, very deceptive in a fight, simply because of the fact that your opponent's expecting you to stop when you get touched. He's expecting you to pay attention to what he's doing. And when you don't do that and you keep moving, it really upsets his game. It really does. Just think about that in any fight that you see. When a person gets touched, they're looking for a response. So the timing on it, my brethren in the martial art, many of them are very, very good at it. They just are not there. I remember we used to joke all the time about Dr. Powell. We used to think he had roller skates on under his hakama, because he just would, I don't know, how did he get from here to there that quick? And how was he able to move people around, no matter what size they are? He can move them around. There's a lot of mystery to that. But the timing really can be attributed to me by drilling and accepting a whole lot of things inside of a conflict, being grabbed, being pulled, being maneuvered and stuff, because this person is going to turn whatever they're doing into something else. It always turns into something else. It's just most of the time you're not there to turn it. It happens.
It's okay. It's okay. I just had another epiphany while I'm talking to you. So the first epiphany was in that first interview, that purple tape one. When I realized that Sanuces has an offensive thing, I never thought about it like that. But as you're talking, all right, when you think about judo or jujitsu, right, and when they break the kazushi, when they break the balance, right, it's like they're always they're looking for a weak part, the weaker part where the body is, and they exploit that by breaking the balance. But it seems as though in Sanuces you can self-impose a weak spot with Pia. Pia can give you that weak spot, and then you can do what you normally would do in any other jiu-jitsu style. So that also seems unique to Sanuces, the fact that you can self-inflict a weak spot through nerve strikes and things like that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And the thing that that really works for us, at least works for me a lot of times, is that he never sees it coming, you know.
Right.
And that's the part that it really shocks you and allows me to be able to do what I do, because you didn't see the shock coming. You didn't see that shock motion. And in the shock, then that's when we create the whatever it is we want to do behind that. So you're right, the throw, the imbalance, and all that happens through my offense that you didn't see coming.
So really, if you're grappling with a Sanuces person, you really got to be careful, because your body is full of nerves, and everywhere on your body are nerves and vulnerabilities. So,
Very much so.
You really got to be careful, because at any point, once he goes in and he starts do what he do, he's going to create an imbalance, and there's nothing you can do to. It's like Doc says, what the body can do and not do. There's nothing you can do to stop the anatomy from just wanting to drop when he hits you in that hip or whatever else you decide to do.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. You know, we try to deal with a whole lot of involuntary actions, and there's a lot of people who believe that they can get away from it, you know, but whatever. But if you're human, you're not going to be able to do that. And a lot of these things are general, just for us to get in. We ain't really did the technical stuff yet. We just do general stuff just to get in.
Right.
When we get in, then it's I like to think it's all over. And I'm not saying that in a sense that I'm going to speak like this sometime at seminars. It's all what makes you so great, what makes you think you can do this because I have this and I have that. That's not what we're talking about here. You know, I just wanted to make this point, and I really don't like it when other martial artists downtrodden on other martial art styles. You know, my thing is that it's us against them. People who train against the people who don't train. The people who want to survive against the people who are trying to kill us. And if you're one of the people that's trying to kill me and you don't think that it works, then be my guest. Then we can talk about this on another level, another conversation. But if you're my martial art brethren and you tell me, oh, I don't think that works, I don't think this, that, and the other, I don't see why I should have to kill you in order to be able to prove my point. You know, I don't really like that attitude of I have to try to prove my art to be superior to your art. I respect all martial arts. I really do, and as my teacher did. But, you know, because his philosophy was put this to your Muay Thai, put this to your BJJ, put this to your Shotokan, your Kyokushinkai, your Taekwondo, whatever, to make it better. But Sanuces stands alone in the sense that it is a principle. To call it a style is an understatement. It contains more than that. It's a principle because it runs by laws.
And I think another thing that makes Sanuces so devastating is that there's so many different sciences within the science. Like you know, like you said, like you could take the touch and go module and build a whole art just off of that.
Yes, sir. And people have done that. And people have done that. You know, but you know, the crime in that is that they don't call it Sanuces, and that's a whole other show by itself. But yeah, you can do that. You could take just one of the principles because it's science inside of science, and you know, there's a name for people who try to defy science, because science is the truth. It holds laws, and those laws have proven themselves to avail whatever the principle is.
You know, another way that I would try to communicate Sanuces, just from my experience, is like, okay, so imagine a martial arts person that's using a nunchuck, and he's using a nunchuck to try to, you know, as a strategy of defense. Or maybe someone is using a bow, or maybe someone is using a knife. Sanuces masters use pain. They literally use pain as an instrument. If you can imagine that, imagine someone using pain as an instrument to get the job done. That's what makes it so unique. Like, because I've never seen it. And then the pain is constantly being controlled, and it could be elevated, it could be de-elevated.
I think that's one of the key points here, is that the pain is being controlled. It's like anything else. It's like a pain reliever. You have to control it. Otherwise, you can OD on a pain reliever just as well as you can succumb to the pain. It's about controlling. Right. And, you know, we say that we we murder your intent. There's a crime to murder a human being. That's never what we're trying to do here. But we will kill your intent, and with that, we kill it with pain control, pain.
Now, it would seem as though if your entries with the PIA, with the imbalance, things like that, it would seem as though maybe you don't need a whole lot of locks and throws. Maybe you just need a few. I mean, am I wrong or?
Well, no, that goes back to what I was saying about control. The locks and the throws are control. Whenever you see that when we throw somebody, we pin them down. We control them. We just don't let them roll around on the floor. That's out of control. People can roll themselves to recovery. And I don't know why he's rolling around. When he's rolling over there, he could roll over and pull something out of his waistband. I don't know. So when I throw him, I'm pinning him. And then I have to learn not to listen to his pain, because that's another thing, too, that you can underestimate what you're doing if the person is screaming. Some people have very low pain tolerance, so they're screaming long before I'm even finished. So, you have to be sort of insensitive to somebody's pain.
What are your top three must-have locks in your toolbox?
Well, locks come in categories. There's self-pressure locks that are so painful. I mean, you can pierce your eyes as long as I hold the lock. The instant I let go, you're ready to fight back. So I better be in a better position. I can hold some locks on you, and you feel like the bone is going to crack. But those are called what I call pressure locks, because they only hurt when the pressure is applied. And then there's snap locks, which is basically I lock you up, I snapped it, and even though I let it go, it still hurts, and it hurts real bad. And then there's movement locks that basically you lock yourself up. You put your hand there, I just simply locked it up. One of the famous locks that Dr. Powell was notable for was a lock we call bow and arrow, which is what we take the fingers of the hand and we spin it over backwards. If you can imagine your fingers touching your forearm, the back part of your forearm. Now, if anybody just pull his fingers back, you see that they don't come nowhere close to the back of your forearm. But imagine somebody have those fingers and they're forcibly making those fingers touch the back of your forearm. So you can imagine the amount of pain that you would feel by the time that it does touch your forearm. But more importantly is that he's ripping tendons in your arm. And if it's done right, you can actually hear the tendons pop one at a time the more he puts pressure on it. The thing that makes that so severe is that they usually have you in a compromised position where you're off balance. So you're falling and you're ripping your own tendons. I'm not ripping them. I'm just locking your hand in position. So, that's kind of like some of the stuff that we do. It's different than I just reached out and grabbed you. And most of the locks, when I use them, I've done several things to you before I lock you up. I just don't reach out there and grab you.
Wow. What are your top three must-have throws?
Well, when it comes to throws, again, categories, but I like movement throws, like a Haragos, when I'm moving towards you and I take both legs from up under you. I like sweeps. Basically, you're not going to reach down there and try to stop me from sweeping you. And more likely, I got you moving off balance when I go to sweep. So I don't like I'm not gonna say. I'm trying not to say that. What I don't like. If it works, I'm gonna use it. But shoulder throws and things like that, I will do that as I cause you to move forward. So you basically take yourself over my shoulder. I'm not gonna try to lift you. And that's again about timing. A lot of times when we're doing things in a demonstration, I know myself. I'm not gonna speak for my brother, but I'm accused of overkill. The guy was dead a long time ago, or no one's gonna let nobody do that much to you. What I'm just doing is exercising my skills and showing you the possibilities of things that I can do if I chose to do them. And when you're doing things in a demonstration, in fact, my uki has lent his body to me, so I have to do things with precise control because I'm not there to hurt that person to prove a point of anything. So people say, oh, well, he's not going to still be standing there when you hit him or whatever. You can say whatever you want, but, that's all we're doing is exercising our options.
So, you're a master of the bow. I told myself a long time ago, I said, I bet you one of Soke's secrets to his flow is because of that, his mastery of the weapons, particularly the bow. Am I wrong with that theory, or is there any truth to that?
Well, what they say about weapons in any style is that a weapon is an extension of your body. So, if anything, maybe it's the other way around, where my jujitsu flow is determining that. But I did know bow kata and that weapon prior to coming to Sanuces. So it was one of the things that Dr. Powell did appreciate. He liked it when he seen it, and he constantly asked me to do it in public because I think that he identified the flow part of what I was doing as well. But yeah, you should translate that flow into weapons, much like with our short blades and our knee stick and things like that. It's done in a flowing fashion. We just don't bang at a person. We flow against the pain.
Right.
Dr. Powell hit me one time in my forearm when he was doing some honest technique, and in my forearm now, and I felt it in my back and like on my shoulder blade, and first I thought it was an accident, like it was me, because when you hit nerves send messages to other parts of your body. So I thought it was because I was moving real quick, and I stuck my hand out there, and I just felt the shock. Maybe that's where it ended up. But ironically enough, and not in the same day, on another day, he hit me again with an honest stick, and I felt it again, almost in the same spot. So now I'm thinking this can't be accidental. This is a whole other day, a whole other technique, and is he deliberately hitting me someplace where I'm feeling it in my back instead of my arm? What's going on here? But I said that to say, when Doc hit with a weapon, he sort of drew the energy to sent it to another spot. If you think about hitting and spreading something as opposed to banging it. But then you would notice that when he used the weapon, he wouldn't just bang at it. He would sort of like have a spreading motion when he hit, or a drawing motion. And then I guess that's what was sending the energy to a different spot. So when I asked him about it, he just laughed. He never did really tell me how he did that.
Wow, and so because he knew where the energy was going to land or was going to end, so it's like a ping pong effect,
Right.
And it's like he's playing the body like a fiddle.
That's a great yes, like an instrument. Like an
instrument.
Yeah.
Wow. So the Sanuces, at the highest level, the Sanuces master is the violinist or the pianist, and your body is basically his instrument, and he's playing, and his technique, he's creating tunes and melodies and songs on your anatomy.
I like to think that, an orchestra, and he's a conductor. Yeah, if you think about that, those guys are just making a bunch of sound unless it's conducted. If you think about doing anything like that, it puts you in control of, think about a pool player, a billiards player. When he strikes the cue ball, he just don't bang any ball. It's some deliberation going on there. How much English he puts on it, how much of a spin he puts on it to make the ball go where it wants to go. If you can do that in pool, then why wouldn't you be able to do that on the human body?
Which also leads me up to thinking that, so this art is like a chess game. It's a thinking game, which means that there's a lot of manipulation going in with this. There's a lot of exploitation, always looking for opportunities to exploit. The next concept is attacking the attacking limb. Now, attack what attacks you.
Yes,
now, this is one of my favorites. I like this one. Yeah. Can you talk to us about this?
Self-explanatory. I'm sorry, guys. Finish what you're saying.
No, I'm done.
No, I was just saying that to me it's kind of self-explanatory. I mean, some people may have a different explanation of that, but if he's looking at me, I'm not going to block it. I'm going to attack it. That's when I said earlier that our defensive strikes are really done in an offensive manner. We don't have blocks. We have strikes that we strike an object. So when he's punching at me, I'm punching at him. I'm automatically offsetting his punch, and that's the block. Now, there's times when you move, you maneuver, you weave, and you do things like that. But attacking the attacking limb. If it's attacking me, I'm attacking it. And that's a lot of times people don't expect for you to do that. They don't expect for you to attack the attacking limb. One of the the greatest limbs you can attack that's attacking you, and most people are running from, is a kick, because it's the strongest muscles in the body. Is coming at you with maximum force, and when it hits you, it's going to hit you at maximum impact. Most people don't tend to think to attack a kick, but we do. We attack a kick at the knee or at the ankle joint, or maneuver up under the leg in a minute where there's tender spots there. So if that leg comes up, it's going to be attacked before it hits the ground at some point.
And this leads me to my final concept. Now, with the attack, wasn't this between attacking the attacking limb and my final concept of eye to eye? Because I thought eye to eye was similar to that, but is that different?
No, in the sense that we're talking about just limbs. Eye to eye is the whole concept of the attack.
Okay.
Attacking limb is just that, the limbs. So that's the whole concept is taught to students as they're coming up, to focus on attacking those limbs instead of running from them or allowing them to come back at you a different way.
Right, and eye to eye is basically the totality. It's the whole system.
Yeah, the whole attack. Yeah.
All right. So I think this was a pretty powerful interview. Let me see. What's your favorite top 3 kicks? And and when I say kicks, I mean kicks that's just going to get the job done.
Well, lower extremity kicks are my favorite, and I know that it takes less than 6 pounds of pressure to break the fibula. So, yeah, I think I could break a fibula, and I think attacking the kneecap. So what type of kicks would do that? I mean, a side stomping kick, a front kick to the kneecap. I know there's an apex point for the kneecap when I hit it. If I hit it at this right angle that I'm thinking about, it's going to dislocate. It's going to bust that tendon. I know if I come at it from the side, I can attack the lateral meniscus, and I can take that whole leg out. So I take out his mobility. So, because from karate, I love things like hook kicks and things of that nature, because hook kicks, you don't see it. It comes up around your peripheral, and that's the danger in it. It's not that you've seen the leg go up, but you never seen the foot when it came, because it came up from behind. I like those things that seem to come from nowhere, and that impact that hits you. But, I would say kicks that deal with the lower extremity, any and all of them, anything below the belt. And my expression of Sanuces, which I call Eye Sanuces through Jiu-Jitsu International, I have a form that has what I call 7 below, or 7 kicks in which I focus on kicking a person below their belt 7 different ways. And it helps me to help my students understand that's a great way to enter, and that's also a great way to exit. Taking away a person's mobility, to me, is making him dead in the water. And everybody is vulnerable. Every single human being is vulnerable to a lower attack, because no one's hands stretch longer than their knees. No human being's arms hang lower than their knees. So there's no blocking. You put your face down there if you want, be my guest. But, already that's a built-in flaw. Look for those things that are built in. There's bones in the foot, in the human foot, that are very, very susceptible to being broken. I mean, think about it. People twist their ankle every day, and they do that to themselves, much less if I'm going to do it. If I hold you and I kick at your knee and I don't let you go, I'll pop your kneecap right there on the spot. Kneecaps
and
are
you
not
can still
really
and you still have the ability, if you want to continue to go and continue to break that imbalance even after that destruction.
Well, right after that, I know I'm going to hit you in the throat. Then I'm not going to go around anything else, because now you can't breathe. Now you can't move and you can't breathe. So I don't think there's very much more structure to the fight left. Again, we're talking about survival here. We're not talking about sport. You come to do harm to me or my family or something, I'm not going to be thinking about what technique that I'm going to do that may work. If I see your knees are exposed, then that's where I'm going to go. If you try to skip back to avoid that, anything else out. And I'm prepared for whatever else that is that you give me as well. So, there's a lot of ways that we can can think about this thing, but let's think about to the common denominator. Much like as many arts that we have to give respect, like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, you give them respect for understanding that they know that once they get you down on the ground that you're pretty much in their zone because they have studied the science from the ground. You don't know the science from the ground. You're going to give them your back. Fight's over. You're going to get up on your hands and knees and try to get up, and the fight's over. That's simple principle. That's it. It's over. So the same thing in the stand-up game, we use angle of attack. Our angles are superior to most people in the stand-up game. We're going to come at you from an angle that you're pretty much going to have to submit to.
Soke, what are your favorite angles to fight? What angles do you like to fight from?
Well, we have some foot patterns that Dr. Powell left us with some angle patterns. When we talk about the universal pattern of foot motion, it's like a diagram on the floor of 8 different directions that you can move in the basic 8. But what I like doing is always bringing my back foot closer as I move on with my front. It's kind of hard to explain, but most people, if you think about a fencer, a French fencer, they constantly are guarding with their front leg to get closer to the person. I use my back leg to get closer. Not that I cross it over, but it creates an illusion that I'm moving forward until I'm ready to move forward. And then by that time, it's too late.
My last 2 questions, okay. What are your top 3? Like when it comes to breaking that imbalance, what is your top 3 peer combinations or just nerve combinations? Like you just know, like, you know what I'm saying? Like you just want to watch this guy out. You're not in the mood to play with this guy. What is the top 3 combinations you like to build an imbalance?
That would go back to my principle of what I sort of given an acronym for THE, the word the, and that's throat, hands, and eyes. And those 3 things, I believe, will create the perfect imbalance at any given point in time. When I'm teaching my students, I call that mission. Whenever you're doing a technique for me, you need to show me that you assess at least one, if not more, of those things. So if I see you do a technique, and no matter how good the throw was, the lock was, the sweep, the setup, the whatever, if I don't see you attack one of those 3 areas or more, to me it's incomplete because this opponent is not neutralized or incapacitated to the point where you can control them. And I think that those are some of the basic survival moves that I was taught that makes me move in the way that I move. And I say that because all 3 of those areas are out of off limits when it comes to sport. You cannot poke anybody in the eye. With your finger in the eye, you're not even supposed to be able to really punch in the eye to really damage the eyeball. And I'm not talking about the eye socket itself. Remember, the eye socket is, the eye is encaved in there. So a black eye is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about taking retinas out. I'm talking about pushing eyeballs to the side, that type of thing. I'm talking about putting my finger in your eye, making you afraid to open your eye again. All right? Throat is just that. If an opponent cannot breathe in any capacity, if I can get you to stutter and take a breath and hold it long enough, then I have you. And hands is just that. If you don't have the ability to strike me with your hands, what I mean by hands is anything from your fingertips to your shoulder is considered your hands for me. And I'm in the business of destroying all and any of those things that when they come at me to attack me. So if you think about those things, I would call them my favorite 3 because any one of them can put me in control of the fight to be able to set it up for the scientific. And so by doing that, I definitely kill your intent because if you can't use your arms no more, your intent will definitely diminish greatly. If you can't breathe,
it's okay.
Same.
Yeah, it's okay. If I'm with my final question, talking about the acronym THE, eyes. But let's say if I had to give eyes a twin, and let's say the twin was ears, how effective are ear techniques? Like whether it's closing ear back into the eardrum or Is is there anything you could tell us about ear techniques?
Well, I think everybody could understand if they've been in a plane, that there's a popping of the ears when the altitude is high. And that's just the pressure that happens inside the human body because the imbalance in air pressure. Well, you can create that same kind of imbalance in air pressure with your hand by cupping your hand and simultaneously at both times pounding your hand inside of both ears simultaneously at the same time. So by creating this cup type a cupping of your hands and popping somebody in their ears can create that same kind of imbalance and pain and severe pain of air rushing into the eardrums. And perhaps done the right way can even pop the eardrums. So that's been something that I've used to be effective. It's just that it's a sudden thing, and then it's done. I mean, so a lot of times there'll be a ringing of the ears and stuff like that, but it doesn't really incapacitate a person as to taking them out. But it will definitely affect his equilibrium, which is part of his balance, and that's a great thing. But, you're not supposed to do that and then wait for it. You're supposed to do that knowing that that's what's going to happen. And a lot of times people do techniques and they wait to see the result of it. It's like a hyperextension of the arm. You pop the arm and then you wait to see what happens. There's no need to wait. If you've done it right, it's going to work.
You keep going.
People's arms don't.
So,
you keep going.
So, Soke, my final question, and if you need a few seconds, whatever, think about it, take your time.
Mm-hmm.
Top 3 Dr. Moses Powell techniques you ever witnessed in your life. Top 3. This is going down as one of my classic interviews.
The ones that I've seen, or the ones that I like the most.
The ones you like, seen, just top 3.
There's just so many, For those that have ever seen my beloved teacher in action, I think everybody has their own personal ones or whatever. But Dr. Powell's techniques will always give you an aha moment. Even still to this day, I'm having aha moments about it. But I think one of my favorites was the Cobra Strike, where I seen him had an incoming opponent come at him, and he raised his hand above the opponent's head, and just it's hard to kind of describe, but like a knife hand, but not a knife hand chop, but just dropped the edge of the blade of his hand on the top of this opponent's head and knocked him out. Doesn't remind me call him his name, but that would be Sijal Dumo Takabera, the great brother of mine who knows and has been training with Dr. Powell for many years. And, he and I both laugh about it to this day because he was knocked out, and Doc revived him, and as he came to, he didn't know he was knocked out. So it's things like that where you can do things like that and just touched him. He didn't beat him up. He didn't smack him around a bunch of times and stuff. He just did this strike that he called a Cobra Strike, and he knocked him out. So that, to me, is knowing something about the human body as it moves forward. Another one was watching him do a technique to Grandmaster Bill McLeod as he asked him to come at him at full speed. In martial art, we have this thing called drop back, where a person drops back and then they come at you with a lunging punch and stepping forward at the same time with full body force coming at you. Karate uses that a lot as well. And Dr. Powell asked him to do it more than one time to sort of build up the velocity. No, come faster, come faster, come faster. And he caught Grandmaster Bill in motion, came forward, and he was levitated. He just levitated him and then drove him straight to the floor. I've never seen nothing like that before. And one other time I seen him throw someone and change their direction in flight. I never seen nothing like that before neither. That's something else because some of the best rookies in the world can't handle that. You change a person's direction in flight, which means you took them into the throw, and in the middle of the throw, you bump them off their axis so that they come down, and they're going to be more broken up than they ever were before. So it's things like that. It wasn't a bunch of things that he did. It was just like one thing that he would do that was totally amazing because it showed that he knew the science of the body. He knew the science of motion. the science of being able to take a body and make it do what he wanted it to do.
Grandmaster, I want to thank you. Grandmaster Soke Haisan Kaleak. I really want to thank Grandmaster, man. This master, man. Grandmaster Haisan.
No, this has been really good for me, brother, because your efforts in trying to make sure that this magazine keeps Dr. Powell staying alive with those great masters who you've interviewed up to now. It's just an honor being chosen in this place here and to represent my teacher's teaching, which I'm always proud to stand up for.
Yeah, and I just want to let the audience know that this completes the first volume. The first volume of Volume 1 had 16 issues. This is our 16th issue, and then this is it. My next interview starts Volume 2. So this is the end of Volume 1. The first issue started with Dr. Powell, the greatest martial artist of the 20th century, and the final issue of Volume 1 is Can He Fight? So stay tuned for Volume 2. We're going into a whole new season of Volume 2. But Grandmaster Haisan, I want to thank you so much for giving us this interview. And also, by the way, his seminar tapes will be coming out very soon. We will also, 2017, I got a whole new energy, a whole new wave. I'm getting pumped up again. I hope to give you people, my audience, at least 48 interviews this year, going hard. I want to give you at least 20, 15 online seminars, digital seminars. This is where we're going. So expect a lot of things. You'll be able to buy his tapes, his seminars real soon. We're also going to be producing more videos. So 2017, I hope to be a very, very exciting year. Grandmaster, you could take us out. Let them know where they could find you, websites, number, whatever you got, anything you have going on, and you could just close us out.
Yes, sir, and thank you again for these great interviews and putting together Doc Magazine for us and keeping Sanuces at the top of the martial art conscious community. And that's what we're working on this year. We're working on the martial conscious. Please stay tuned for us because we'll be doing some great things with that. We have Doc Radio, which is still intact and is going strong with 5 days a week of programming there. We hold a spot on Friday at 8 p.m. The number is the same as this number to call in on. And we're going to be doing some great things and trying to get you some blog, this communicating on a whole nother level out there in the social media realm as well. So, again, our number on Friday is the same as this, 646-716-6825. You can find us there. And, again, the things that we do at Doc Magazine are really one and the same to promote the legacy of Supreme Grandmaster Dr. Moses Powell. At the time of this broadcast, we have a seminar coming up in the name of FOS, Family of Sanuces. It'll be on February 25th. It'll be held at 392 Blake Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. The time there is 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. And we will be entertaining Sanuces warriors in the training from Supreme Grandmaster Dr. Moses Powell with legacy leaders like Grandmaster George Logan and Professor Walter Evans, Grandmaster Dow Sargent, and so many others. Hopefully, Grandmaster Al Woods will be there as well. So we have Sanuces players from all different generations coming out at that time. So that's what we have on the calendar at this point. Hopefully, we'll see you out on the mat. Thank you again. Eye to eye, heart to heart.
Heart to heart.